noticed that the moose population was going down. So in the 1980s, they actually did a moose lift. And they brought moose from Ontario, Canada into Michigan to try to replenish the population. And it was this Operation Moose Lift. It happened in 1985 and in 1987. So these helicopters in the early winter months up in Ontario, just across the bridge here in Algonquin Provincial Park, were flying around to spot different moose that they would like to bring over to Michigan. So certain moose were tagged, they were shot from the plane with a tranquilizer gun. Then the helicopter landed, harnessed the moose up, put a radio collar on, took a blood sample, took some vital data from the moose, harnessed it up to a helicopter in the snowy weather, mind you, and flew it across the Canadian territory over to the landing spot. So there were 59 moose that were brought to Michigan this way. Once they got to the landing spot, they didn't fly all the way over Lake Superior. They flew, usually it was about 10 miles or so, to the landing spot, where they were then loaded into trailers on the back of a semi-truck and driven all the way across the Upper Peninsula over towards Marquette. All right? So 59 moose were brought over this way. This is a picture of how you would lift a moose into a crate, in case any of you are interested in lifting a moose into a crate. They were then driven over, like I said, over to the Marquette Van Riper area, and you can see all the school buses in the background. This was a pretty big deal. And so where the moose were released, the kids were allowed to come, and everybody was allowed to see this pretty big event. So like I said, 59 moose were brought over this way. Every single moose had a radio collar on it, and so the DNR knew exactly how many of each species, or male or female, were dropped off in Michigan. One of the moose, for those of you who might be staying at the river mouth or who saw the big moose sign on their way in, was named Gulliver. And Gulliver was the biggest male moose that was part of that 59 moose lift, 59 individuals that were brought over here. He was the biggest male, and he weighed about 1,200 pounds. 1,200 pounds. He was 6 foot at the shoulder, and then his head, and his big long legs. And he was dropped off over by Van Riper State Park. So if you look at the map of the UP, Van Riper State Park is around here, kind of by the Q over here in the Upper Peninsula. What happened to him is he started to walk. He didn't want to stay at Van Riper, and he started to walk south his first year. And he walked this way over to here, and he happened to pass through the little town of Gulliver, which is where he got his name. He spent his first winter there, and then the next year he decided to walk up north again, and he walked up through here, around through here, and he parked it right where we are today at the Rivermouth Campground. And here is where he hung out for about 7 or 8 years, and he was spotted quite often right out here in the river. Gulliver is probably the father of many generations of moose here, actually. And so this photograph was taken from the other side of the river, from Taqua Trail, looking at us this way. And so the river is in the foreground. We're kind of sitting right here, getting our presentation.